everyone, welcome back. Courtney Tiffany here. Today I wanted to talk about the mother wound and kind of look at what that is, why that occurs, and how to heal that. How to kind of, look at that mother archetype, look at our relationships with our own mothers, our maternal line, and heal and kind of grow around that. So in my book, Feminine Archetypes, obviously one of the most common, probably most recognizable archetype is the mother, right? It's the one that connects us all. The mother, we've all come from a mother, right? But oftentimes the mothers that we have aren't always the caretakers and nurturers that we need them to be. Not all of us grow up, as like having their mom as their best friend or feeling supported. Mothers, are sometimes absent. They've chosen to leave or are, physically not around or whatever it is, right? Can kind of create this unconscious wound or this unconscious trauma. And maybe you recognize it, right? And maybe it is conscious, and maybe you do know that like you kind of have issues around the mother archetype, right? And just take a moment and ask yourself, what does my relationship with my own mother look like? What are my feelings towards my own mother? Were there times growing up when she wasn't what I needed her to be? Were there times where she was physically or emotionally absent? Were there times when, she could have been more gentle, more nurturing? Did you find that you constantly had to seek approval, right? My dog's like moaning in the background. Now she's sighing. She clearly, and she probably doesn't even know who her mother is. It's funny. So, these are great questions to ask ourselves, right? What's our relationship look like with our own mother, and how do we wish it could change, right? And and it might not be able to, right? Your mother might not be alive anymore, or, she's just not available, and, your relationship, it can't change, right? But there might also be some people that, okay, my relationship's not that great, but, what are some things that I can do to kind of be more open and more vulnerable and have a open and honest conversation with my mother, right? Where do I want things to change? If you do. Because oftentimes, I'm assuming if you're watching this, maybe you do, right? Maybe you do have a mother wound, whether you're conscious of it or not. So looking at our relationships with our own mothers is a great place to start, right? And when we find that we have a lot of resentment or anger or just, sadness around our own relationships with our mothers or our mothers in general, it's just it's the place to start, right? That's what we want to heal. And this is where working with goddesses, like working with the divine feminine, comes into play. This is where it's extremely beneficial to call on, the great mother, to call on Gaia, Pachamama, Demeter, Ceres, even, some of the dark goddesses too, the dark mothers. There are so many options, right? I'm trying to think of who in like Frigg in Norse mythology. There's got to be more. Bridget, Caradwen. I'm trying to think of other ones. Rhiannon. there's so many options or so many deities that we can turn to specifically to seek kind of that healing, nurturing, motherly energy that we need, right? There is a great, amazing, I say this because I just recorded it yesterday, potent archetypal activation with the mother where we go in and work with the divine mother energy. Mother Mary is also a great one, right? Sophia, um, to just kind of hold space for us, right? To allow us to kind of work through all of that energy, work through those emotions that we have around the archetype of the mother. And calling on Gaia is one of my favorites, right? It's why we're honoring her this month inside of the monthly goddess alignment. She is just big mama, loving, tender, gentle, supportive, comforting energy, right? That's what the mother should be. When the mother archetype is divinely aligned, that is the mother. It is unconditional love, right? The great mother is saying to you, like, in my eyes, you are perfect. You are whole. You're not broken, right? And I will hold you. I will comfort you. I will nurture you. I will, give you whatever you need me to give you so that this pain can be transmuted, so it can go away, so we can heal. And that's what I love working like with goddesses, with archetypes, because you can invoke that energy. You can call on the great mother, right? And she can offer you that support. So if that's something that you're looking for, you can look through the archetypal activations with the mother. It will be released in May 2021. And it's, like I said, I just recorded it yesterday actually, and it brought me to tears. You guys, it was that emotional and that comforting, and just feeling into the energy of the great mother there are no words. There are no words to describe it, right? Other ways we can kind of heal and work with any mother wounds that we might have are, forgiving our own mothers, right? Recognizing that our mothers were also human. They are human, right? Nobody's perfect. Nobody. And, there's no handbook when it comes to motherhood, right? Everyone is learning as they go. I have 2 kids of my own. Like, and I am such a researcher by nature, and I remember being pregnant with my first child and just consuming as much information as I possibly could about nap schedules, feeding routines, like anything and everything, like brain development, and what do children need at certain ages? What are like their what are they capable of, like how, like their growth and all this stuff, right? I consumed it all. And I have a boy and a girl, and they are complete opposites. They could not be more different, because when you're a parent, that's usually what you get, right? You don't get 2 children that are the same, and your children do not always get along all the time. And my children, like I have to parent them differently, right? And just being a mom myself, like I mess up a lot. I am not perfect. I am not a perfect mom. So don't make that assumption, right? I have my moments. I have my triggers. I have, things that I am constantly growing and working on, right? Patience being one of them, honest. But knowing that, being a mom, being able to recognize, like my mom did the best that she could. Like, as children, we don't always understand everything that's going on, right? We don't understand the financial stress, the career pressures, the friends or relationship dramas, right? We just want our mom. And, you know, if we weren't given the support that we needed, right? It's hard. So learning to kind of be one, working through that wound, right, with your mom, and forgiving her. Forgiveness is a huge one. And not saying you don't have to go and tell her, you know, I forgive her for all the times that you fucked up. Forgiveness doesn't have to be about her. Forgiveness is about you, right? It's for your own personal benefit. It's you know, saying to your own inner child, like, listen, like I understand, like you maybe did the best that you could. Um, but I forgive you. I release you from that, right? And releasing that trauma, right? Now, obviously, um, if you need to seek professional, like, you know, help, talk to somebody about this, right? I am not a therapist. I am not giving medical advice here, right? But I am saying, you know, anything that you're holding on to, ask yourself why. Why am I holding on to this? What does it, how does it serve me to hold on to this, right? Because when we're holding on to things, that energy just begins to fester, right? I talk about this a lot. I think I mentioned this in Journey to Soul. Like when we don't work through pain, when we don't work through trauma, we're just holding on to that, whether we're aware of it or not, right? And that energy just manifests in different ways, right? We get sick, or we're projecting it onto our partners or other people or whatever it is, right? It just shows up in a different area of our life, right? So going in and actually asking yourself, right? You know, turning to your inner child and saying, okay, let me be my own mother now. What does my inner child need? Right? What was she not given, you know, growing up that like I still need now, right? How can I comfort my own inner child? How can I mother my own inner child? Right? And working with that. Now, I mean, you're the only one that's going to have the answers to this, right? This is something for you to explore and to dive into, but this is just to get you started on your journey, right? If you recognize that you have, yes, deep trauma, deep emotional wounds, or wounds in general, right? Around the mother archetype. Yeah, and in time learning to forgive, right? And learning to release that burden. And again, working with Gaia or Mother Mary, I mean, is a great one. It, it's a great archetype. It's a great divine energy to work with to help you kind of clear that wound around the mother archetype. Trying to think if there's anything else that I want to add to this. I think that's like a nice kind of, I know it's kind of brief introduction, but it's enough to get you started. I'm going to leave that there. For those of you watching this in my Patreon, I wanted to say I also created a YouTube channel. So if you want to go and subscribe, these are all of the old videos from the Patreon being released. So I'm like 5 months, well, it's about 4 months ago. You know, obviously my patrons get to see this first. So thank you, thank you for, you know, supporting me. The mother activation will be out in May. And yeah, go follow me and subscribe on YouTube. And I appreciate all of your support, and I love all of you. And I will see you next week.